Good evening. I just want to make another quick video for you guys, just talking maybe about some tips for preparedness going forward. We're living in uncertain times for sure. I don't want to be doom and gloom and say it's going to be what's going to happen next month, next week, next year. I don't know. I don't claim to know. I do have faith. I do read the Bible. I do believe that we're close to the end times or even maybe in the end times, but I have no way of verifying that, and I don't want to make any claims that we are or are not. But I think your spirit of discernment should be able to tell you that things are getting pretty serious, and even if it is in the end times, it's still an interesting situation that we find ourselves coming into, and I think awareness is important. So yeah, preparedness. At this point, I think if you haven't done some already, it's probably, you're lucky that you still have some time to do that. But I know for my family, we have, seeds, some canned foods, not a ridiculous amount, but enough for probably 2 months or so. I always thought, because we have no idea what kind of situation is coming down the line. If it's something biblical proportions, I don't know. You could do all the planning in the world with physical stockpiling. I don't think it's going to do you much good. But what my thought always has been is that if you have a little bit prepared, it just buys you some time to figure out what you're going to do, or to make plans within your community or with your neighbors or whatever to have a successful future. So we have some canned goods. Bought a canner, and we got a good garden going this year, and we've been gardening for a few years, but we took it a little bit more seriously this year. Yeah, it's pretty easy to do, and even if you don't have a canner, you can pickle pretty much anything with 50-50 mix of vinegar and water. It's a mason jar. It's not hard to do. Look it up. It doesn't take much time. Even if you know the garden, if there's some sales on produce or whatever, meat or anything, you can pick that up and store it, which is nice. Like canning, because the jars are reusable. You don't have to worry about hydro. Like, if a lot of people like to freeze stuff, you have family members who've been telling them, stock up on food, and they're like, well, why don't you just freeze all your stuff in the garden or whatever. It's like, well, if the hydro goes out, you gotta eat it all within a day, and you may not even be able to cook easily unless you have a wood stove or something. So canning is already cooked, stores for a reasonably long period of time. It's easy to do. So that's the route we chose. Not super portable, but I mean, you never carry like a month's worth of food on your back anyways, so that's not really a concern. I think basic tools, implements, to have them available, whether it's in your shed, your garage, whatever, like shovels and axes and saws and hammers and all those types of things are always going to be useful, especially if you're in a situation where you need to really build your life, or be creative and just make things work. You gotta dig a well or something, or fix up or reinforce your house, or whatever it may be. Those things are always good to have. I think for on the go, obviously, like a knife, a hatchet, maybe some matches or flint would be awesome. Warm clothing. You don't need many pairs of clothes, but warm, good quality clothes, natural fibers, wool. Especially for us, we live in Canada, so that's our main concern, is like basically just keeping warm. And then food too is not as easy to find, but there's it's always fishing, and hunting is pretty good around where we live, so that's probably okay there. It's more staying warm, which is the main concern. So yeah, so that's the other thing is the location. So if you live in the middle of a big city, and things start to go south, and say the economy crashed, for an example, grocery stores are they're gonna be a run on them right away, and they'll be out pretty much pretty quick. And that's assuming you even have like resources to buy that stuff. And anyways, most people, if they miss 3 meals, they start to go pretty crazy. So you can imagine that uh, breakdown happens pretty quick in a big city, and it's not the place you really want to be. But I know some of you watching may live in big cities, and I don't want to cause you despair. There's things you can do, even just in your apartment or whatever. You can grow plants near your window. You can store some food. You can have maybe an escape route, or look into some ways to get out of the city, not on the major highways. Because if something did happen, everybody and their dog would want to go out into the countryside, and probably not going to work out in the mass amounts of traffic and chaos. And that's assuming there's some lockdown or whatever. But just do a bit of planning. Look into where you are, figure out where you could go, how you might make that work out. Probably not a bad idea. I'm lucky that the family has like we have a camp. It's not perfect, wouldn't be the easiest place to survive, but it's a start, and I think I'm very blessed to even have that as a place that I could go to before things even got too crazy, without having to, take it from somebody or cause a ruckus. Like, we just kind of go there and bundle up and see what happens. So that's definitely a blessing, and I'm very thankful for that. And even just for the awareness to be able to contemplate these things ahead of time. And there's a lot of videos on preparedness. I am not an expert on this by any means. I've done a little bit. We've put aside some food. We've got some ideas of where we would go and how we might, survive and all that. But a lot of it's more just like a mental, spiritual preparedness, so that if these things happen, or if the path keeps going the way that it looks like it's going, that there's already been some weird stuff going on. But when you wake up in the morning, there's a really like big event that just happened, where most people are just shocked and don't know what to do with themselves, and their reality is crumbling. You're going to be in a position where you can actually act because you've already anticipated for that, And I think most people that are making videos like this or watching videos like this are already at that point where they won't really be surprised, and that's why we're told to be watchful and to look for Christ coming, and so you won't be caught in the snare, basically. I'm not just going to assume that I'm not going to get caught in the snare personally. I think I'm as valuable as anybody else, but I at least want to be. I would hope I'm in a position that I can take care of my family and also help others around me, because I think people are going to need leaders and people to be a light in their lives when all this stuff, if it starts to happen. So, and by this stuff I mean like either a societal breakdown or a really deadly virus being released, not some just scarecrow virus, or celestial events, Planet X, Nibiru, fake alien invasion, like whatever. I don't know what's coming down the pipe there, but I would assume it's probably, you're going to see more like stuff along the virus line, or economic issues first before anything like biblical. But who knows, right? Like, I don't know what's going to happen in a minute from now, let alone a couple months, years, etc. So yeah. But anyways, I think it's great that people are waking up to this, and there's certainly, I know that we're not alone, like me and my wife, in what we're seeing. Like there are other people out there, which is encouraging for us, and it's giving me courage to make videos. I'm not getting tons of views. That's fine. If I reach one person, that's better than zero. And having conversations with coworkers and family, and um, so I'll be honest. Sometimes I bite my tongue, and I don't say as much as I know necessarily. But I think there's a like it's good to make the information available to people. But if you just bombard them, they can just shut down from that too. So it's kind of like finding that balance depending on who you're speaking with. And I often find people come back later after the fact, and you kind of pique their curiosity, and then they want to talk about it more, or they start looking into it for themselves. And um, that's kind of the process that happened with me and my wife. Even like I had been concerned about things for a while, and sort of just, hey, you should check this out, or what do you think about this, or and then now, yeah, she's like woken up to stuff, and I think that's great. And it wasn't like a forced thing, which is nice, because you can't, like, you can show someone the door, but if you push them through it, they didn't walk through it. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing. So um, it's kind of like that Cypher character in the Matrix. Like he ends up just going kind of insane and ends up joining back with the agents because ignorance is bliss. He wasn't ready. He shouldn't have woke up and compromising the other members. So probably a bad reference, but yeah. So anyways, take care, and I hope to make more videos, and you guys can hear from me soon. My emphasis is always on being kind and patient with people. Try to teach them a lesson if you can. I think the world needs teachers and leaders right now. But you get a lot more peace with honey than with vinegar, in my personal experience. There's a time for brute force too, and heated discussions. I'm not disputing that at all. I think there is definitely a place for that. But if we're solution oriented rather than reactive right off the bat, then it might be a better place to start, just as society. Or what can we agree on first, and then work out the problems from there, right? So anyways, guys, stay calm. Everything's in God's hands anyways. I think if you can shine your light, that's the best thing you can do right now, and everyone's got their own way of doing that, so just keep at it. Love you all. God bless. Thank you.